I think without further ado, and because of time, we'll just get straight into the conversation. And I would like to start with Funsho, Oluyemi. How are you doing today? Now, Dr. Cosmas made mention of quite a number of things, and I would like to start from an aspect that he hammered on, which was that many eyes look, but it's a few that can see. And considering that you're an entrepreneur yourself in an area that it's not something that a lot of people do, right? Yes, the sector is one that a lot of people say they're in, but you do it in a unique manner. Can you just explain, in your own business, how you've internalized that message of many eyes looking and not a lot seen? And, in the context of faith, how has the Holy Spirit really helped you to open your eyes, even in the realm of entrepreneurship?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mitch. Good afternoon, everyone. Is it good evening, everyone, or good afternoon? Thank you, sir. Okay, so I would say not everybody looks, but not everybody sees. So I kind of came into fashion through the back door. I never went to fashion school. In fact, I was a lawyer. I remember I also used to work with Mr. Kuku over here at the front. So I came into fashion through the back door. I had no fashion experience. I didn't go to fashion school. I didn't know how to sew. I didn't know how to draw. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But what I did know is that I always wanted to look different. I didn't like being uncomfortable, and I didn't like looking like everyone else. And so the first brand I started out was a headwear brand. And at the time, everybody used to wear like gillies. They have like the Ashoke gillies, and then you have the damask gillies, and everyone used to wear gillies, and they were so uncomfortable. And I used to just tie my hair with a scarf, or I'll just random things, I'll just tie my hair. And I'd be so comfortable when I go out to like weddings and parties. And I decided, when I saw people would come up to me at parties and say, I like this thing you're wearing. How come you still have it on? It's 6 o'clock. And I was like, it's comfortable. And then after a while, people would ask me, can I get one? Can I get one? And can I get one? Now, at the time, the profit margins were quite low because it's just a headscarf. So like, why are you, what are you making from it? But I felt like the Holy Spirit gave me that insight to see that this is something that over time would, quote unquote, sort of rival the traditional gilly or ashoke. So it's something that I said, okay, I didn't have experience. The only thing I had was an idea, and I started it with, those abukis that go around with the sewing machines on their shoulder, right? So one day I had a piece of material and I had no sewing experience, and I just said, come in, let's see if we can speak. But the man didn't speak English, but thankfully my gate man at the time was Hausa. So he was able to translate what we were saying, and then after maybe 9 hours of sitting on the floor on my parents' compound, we were actually able to construct something that didn't need to be tied. So from there, God just gave me that insight to just say, stick to this course. Everybody else is doing fashion. They may look like they're making more profit margins. They may look like they're doing better than you right now, but stick to this, because this is something that over time would work out. So yeah, I would say that it's an opportunity that the Holy Spirit allowed me to look and see. Yeah, so.
That's awesome. And just as she was speaking, the passage that came to me was a passage where the Bible says the sons of Issachar, right, understood the times and they knew what to do. But one thing that is critical is that, for the Bible to have spoken about it demonstrates that it was the Spirit within them, right? So it wasn't as though you saw a chart or a research that said this is what people were looking for, but the Holy Spirit enabled you to do that. And coming to you, Mr. Osa, of course, with the BOI, you see the teeming population, looking for loans, looking for financing. And one of the things a lot of people would say, including Christian entrepreneurs that are starting out, is that I have a great idea. I'm not just a looking eye, I'm a seeing eye, but I don't have the finances to execute what I am seeing. Now, both as a financier yourself, as well as a child of God, what would you say that is the best way for these young entrepreneurs who are starting to be able to actually plug that practical and real financing gap that they have to execute the businesses they see?
Thank you very much. Let me say thank you, sir, for such a deep experience shared with us this afternoon. I think that it's fairly straightforward. The first is communication. Whatever idea you have, please have somebody to confide in. It can be your parent, it can be your senior brother, it can be your banker, it can be your lawyer. So they can discuss it. Don't kill that idea. For us in the Bank of Industry, we celebrate great ideas because we can help you to tweak the idea to make it bankable. Because not all ideas will, at the end of the day, lead to success. But whatever idea you have, you must think it through. That is why education is also critical. There is a concept of the business model canvas. Any idea you have, if you run it through the business model canvas, it will tell you whether it's an idea you can push forward. So the idea must be connected to the needs of the people, which Dr. Maduka also said. An idea must be focused on addressing a need, must be focused on resolving a concern, must be focused on addressing the concern of so many people. There's a gap in the market space that idea is going to cover. Idea that is not result-oriented, that is not meant to address a challenge, will not generate resources. And any idea that can generate resources, as he said, will attract funding. The funding is said that to attract can be debt financing, it can be equity financing, it can be people who want to invest in your idea because they see clearly that what you are saying, they can see the endless streams of cash flow into the future. So it's critical that whatever idea you have, the idea must connect to resolving a problem or multiple problems or creating something novel from the existing product or service you have in the market space to say, no, this exists currently. We think what exists doesn't address ABC, but with this novel idea, it will address A, B, C, and more. So it's something that is smarter and something that can connect to the needs of the people. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Round of applause, please. You know, I'm so inspired by that answer because it connects with what Dr. Maduka had mentioned about the fact that if you are chasing money, money will leave you. But if you're chasing solutions, even the money would also come as well. And that's why you're financing it, because you won't finance nonsense. Okay, can I just confirm that Funke is now available? She is. Okay. Hello, Funke. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Hello? Okay. All right. Okay, so
Good afternoon.
the question to you, Funke, and good afternoon, and thanks for joining us even while abroad. Now, Dr. Maduka had painted a picture about the fact that, look, if you're buying a car, whether it's a Rolls Royce or a Tesla or whatever, it comes with a manual. And if you act inconsistently with the manual, you will not get the real benefits. And he painted the picture that for our lives, the Bible is our manual, including in business. Now, for you, Funke, you're in the event sector, and by God's grace, you've been able to build a fantastic brand that everyone knows. But that's also a sector that we know that there are a lot of sharp practices, right? People inflate costs, people do a lot of shady things. How have you in that business been able to, consistent with biblical principles, avoid those shady practices that characterize that sector and build success? And which key lessons can you also provide for the young people in the audience?
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, so thank you for that question. Actually, actually very surprised to actually hear that statement about our industry, that there are a lot of shady practices. I think that generally, maybe in life or in any business, there will be all businesses that maybe have shady practices. I don't think it's maybe immune to the industry, the event industry. But I mean, one of the ways that we've been able to build, integrity, build clients' trust in us is just letting the people know, being as transparent as possible. So you have to be transparent in the industry. You have to let people know that this is what this is what the cost is, this is how it is. And everything is out there. Technology has made everything very, very, I would say, in the hands of people. So you can't actually afford to just be shady. You have to just be trustworthy, because with trust and with time, you build a reputable brand. And building a reputable brand is more important to me than just doing something just for like a year or two. I mean, consistency is key. We've been doing this. I've been in the business for over 22 years. And and that is based on trust, based on transparency, based on integrity, and even based on the fact that, look, you know what? We are in this for the long run. We're in this for the long haul. And it's not one day that you're going to make all your money. It's not in one day. So you better do it right. And, of course, as we're all here as Christians, what does the Bible tell us, about just doing the right thing? Doing the right thing, especially when you read the book of Proverbs several times, it just talks to you about just doing the right thing. And that's one of the things that we've imbibed in our business, my business, and, in the industry.
Thank you. No, awesome. Round of applause. No, thank you so much, Funke. And the key takeaway. Testing. The key takeaway from that is that, entrepreneurship. Testing. Okay. The key takeaway from what Funke said is that in this sector, or rather in entrepreneurship, it's not a one-day affair. And the things you do today are going to tell even as you go on. And that brand of being trustworthy and all of that always outwins from any sharp practices or anything of the nature. And at the end of the day, it tells, if you want to build a long-standing business. And that's fantastic. Now, I would just like to go over to Slido. And please, you can share your questions by Slido. There are a couple of questions to Dr. Maduka. Now, Doctor, sir, a couple of questions from the audience to you. This is from someone who said that they would just like to understand better how you started your business career. So they've taken the value from writing the list, but they want to hear some of the practical steps, whether you can give them a brief summary of the process and the difficulties that you faced.
Okay, it's very simple. It's actually sometimes people are surprised. You say you didn't go beyond the third grade education. So what magic did you do? The magic is that I went to University of Automobile, and that means I did apprenticeship. I worked for my uncle for 5 years without salary. This is the best university you can go in the world, because this university teaches you unprecedented discipline, which is a key principle for success. In this apprenticeship system, there's no agreement written. You got to be at your best behavior. Any day you make one mistake, the man put you in another awala. Awala is a Mercedes-Benz truck that has no back seat to rest. It's a bench. You sit on it. If you throw up inside gallop, you go up and fall on the ground. They put you there and return you to the village, and nobody will protest. Nobody will argue. So if I haven't seen one person that successfully passed that through training of apprenticeship, that we are not successful. So I worked pro bono 5 good years and a half, no pay. I was only given feeding money and being clothed. My bedroom used to be 88 Griffith Street at Oyimbo bus stop. That's where I sleep. My bathroom is along the road by 4:30 a.m. in the morning. That's the kind of life I lived. So I did that after 5 years. But before 5 years, I came in contact with the person of Jesus Christ in his risen power. My uncle was angry because on Monday morning, I closed his shop at Nnewi, and we went to Central Christian Fellowship, where we have 4 days fasting camp meeting. We were on the 3rd day when he came and learned that I have locked up shop since Monday. A typical Igbo man from Nnewi, he told me to come that evening, and I should come with my senior brother. He asked me, when did I become a fanatic? I said, no, I'm doing this to help the business progress. He quickly counted 200 naira in 1970. He said, oh yeah, go, let your own business progress. 200 naira he gave me in 1976. I went with my senior brother, and my senior brother said, leave that, let us go. But I have learned some principle from the Bible. Do not neglect the beginning of a small thing. My senior brother my uncle is not a far distance uncle. My mother's junior brother is the person I'm talking to you. 200 naira in 1976. I could have used it and go and eat goat head, which is the delicacies in my village, and blame everybody around me, including God. Why did you take my father when I was 4 years? You were very unkind to me. Because people think making complaint or justifying why they are poor help them. You make all your justification, you are still poor. So what right do you have to be poor? The thing you need to do is to fight poverty and come out of it. There's no need to explain the reason why you are in the condition where you are. We respect you when you do everything you can to come out of that condition, and then tell the story. I used to be in this condition, I came out of it. So I took the 200 naira. I've been taught gratitude. And I told my uncle, thank you very much. I jumped up with excitement. My excitement was not 200 naira. My excitement is that I'm not under anybody's tutorage. My excitement is that I can do with my life today whatever I want to do. My excitement is that I'm going to be making decisions for myself. I'm not reporting to anybody. So I team up with my senior brother, and we form a company called Maduka Brother. My senior brother has started business before me, and we work together. You know, I will come to Lagos, go to Leventis Moto at Ebutemeta, buy something. We go to Nnewi and sold. My senior brother finished elementary 6. So he had a junior high school. He had certificate. I didn't have any. That's why I said, don't keep on complaining what went wrong out of your life. Because with my elementary 3 degree, I still serve in 2 public quoted banks in Nigeria. The last one was Access Bank. I was the credit committee. I was the chairman of credit committee for 12 years. I can smell credit. Everybody in that board has a master's degree. I was in the board with no degree. But I brought to the board what they don't teach you in Harvard, street smart. And I added value. Now, with that elementary 3 degree, they sent me to Harvard Business School. Access Bank sent me to Harvard Business School with first class ticket. And we went to Harvard. I find out what they were doing in Harvard is that they are studying what I was doing. They were reviewing cases of companies that fell. Our case study was how Compact fell to become HP. I was in class with El-Rufai, with Pato Tommy, and with Yosan Eke and his wife. Asked them what was my contribution to their own. Because what they were doing there was what I have practicalized, so I could talk. My sentence, my grammar may not be polished, but you can find common sense in everything that I tell you. So I retired in Access Bank in 2012. I used to sit in the board of Guidance Express Bank, which later became Spring Bank PLC. I sat in two board, public quoted bank board. And by the way, at that time, I owned 24% of Access Bank. Yes. But I told you I made $2 million when I was 24. So I invested in financial institutions and so many other things. So, and life, this world you are going is a university. You mustn't be in a four-corner wall to learn. It's whether you have the attitude of learning. Otherwise, everywhere you have been in life is a school. I learned in the University of Life. And in this University of Life, you never graduate. Don't ever think you graduated. Because by the time you finish you graduating, nature have a way to write you a new subject to study. So that is my upbringing, what happened. But in between, I parted way with my senior brother based on the principle of the Word of God. Ask him if you read my book, From Trial to Triumph. It's written by Ambassador Odo, my biographer. You know, he told the story, went to interview my brother, and he told him, principle, my brother will be going to church. I take 1 naira for offering. Then 1 naira was $2. He told me I cannot be taking 1 naira from our business money, that we don't have enough money, that in Catholic they put 10 kobo. I say, Pius, you drink beer, I drank Coca-Cola. So the 1 naira I put in the offering compensate for the beer you drank from our business money. He says, it's not ready for this, my logic. It's not ready for this, my logic. Let us divide. I jump up. He said, what's the problem? I said, God's word called for total separation from every unbelief. He checked everything we have. He told me that we have met 316. The capital, everything I got was 316 naira. One man called Obiokos gave me 1/4 of his shop, something like this, to be putting my merchandise. The first money I made, I bought horn speaker for my early morning evangelism. That's why I can still stand in a Makoko village in Ebutemeta and preach the gospel at this age. It doesn't change because in the Igbo language they say the dance a child learned from a little child. He never left him even when he's an old man. So I can preach the gospel anywhere about the kingdom of God because this is what made me. I started wearing this badge of Jesus from the age of 15. That was the first thing my mother saw, the hair form of Jesus. He said, Cosmas, what is that? I said, Mom, I'm a Christian. He said, what were you before? I said, I used to follow you to church. I said, I used to follow you to church. He said, you're a Christian. What were you before? I said, I used to follow you to church. My mother said, don't tell me you have joined these retired criminals. Because that's what Christianity is regarded at. If you're a lady, if you ever come into church, they look at you, what's your frustration? Because it's like people who, when you are destitute, we are considered imbeciles, never do well. By the age of 17, I knew I had a call of God in my life. But if I had continued with the gospel, people were taught that I followed the gospel as a meal ticket, as a man who has no means of life. I decided, I said, I'm going to pursue this mastery with these people. I will come back to it. So in between the line, when I started making progress, my wife said, I told my wife sometime in the night, I said, honey, I'm not in the perfect will of God. She said, what's the problem? I said, I'm not doing what God called me to do. He said, but you are sponsoring churches. You are building church for people. You are supporting the ministry. I said, what I have answered is a missed call. The real call, I have not answered it. until finally I was ordained as a minister of the gospel of the God. And that's what I'm doing now. So that's my journey and story.
Wow. 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 I mean, just a few key points from what he said. Number one is that there's a place of learning. So he's not saying that there's no need for education. The apprenticeship and all of those were the things that taught him, and he learned it properly, such that even when he was at Harvard and the like, he had that understanding of the business he does. The second thing is the place of God and how God has always led. You know, Romans 8:28 that talks about how all things work together for good. Indeed, if he had remained with his uncle, if he had remained as Maduka brothers, who knows where the current situation would have been. So God is always the one dictating the pathway. Now, I'll come over to you for... Yes, sir, please, go on.
It's important we made it clear. If I am living today, I tell you in generation you are today, you need to have a degree. So please don't make a mistake. Don't be confused because of those statements I made. If you, the way the world is going today, to be a truck driver, if you don't have a degree, you may not be a successful truck driver. I'm being very honest to you. Because you need to be able to key in where you are going, even if you have GPS, for it to lead you there. So you cannot neglect education. I didn't go to school, not by choice. If you ask me to rate myself, I'm big-headed, I will tell you I have first-class brain. I didn't go to school because my father died when I was 4, and there was nobody to pay for my school fees. My mother, they had 4 children in quick succession, and I am second in the family. And if you follow where I'm coming from, every attention is paid to the first child. The other people are second cousins in the family. So it wasn't long that they sent me to my grandfather to go and live with him. My mother focuses in training my senior brother and paying all the attention to my senior brother. And I struggle all through life. So life is not about what happened to you, but what happens in you. How did you respond to those things that you encounter? That's really make life meaningful. So please go to school. My 4 children, I have 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. The girl is in between. 3 of them are American citizens. But forget about the people that say they are Nigerians. They are imitation Nigeria. I am original Nigeria. You can say it's part of my heritage because I believe in Nigeria. I have money to send my children anywhere in the world. I insisted that they will all get their first degree in Nigeria. My son went to Unilag. My 2 first boys went to Unilag. Both of them read economics. My daughter read medicine. She's an American citizen, but she went to Idi Araba. And she cannot practice. I said, get first degree first in Nigeria. If you want to go to the moon after that, we'll send you. But first degree here in Nigeria. That's how many people lost their children. They don't see them anymore. That my daughter, with all of them, they are living here in Nigeria because to be a true Nigerian, you have to be identified. You share from her shame and her glory. Whatever she is what you are. Quite a number of people just talk Nigeria with mouth, but they have never done anything to identify that they are true Nigeria. You think I am poor? I have a company in Japan. I'm there everywhere. I still go to Idi Araba teaching hospital to go and take my medical health. Because I'm in Nigeria. So I can see a problem there and solve it.
I like the end of that, so that I can see a problem there and solve it. Now, I'll come to Funsho, Mr. Osa, as well as, Funke. And it's the same question I'm posing. So once you just answer, just pass the mic on. And the question comes from the audience, and there are 2 questions I'm combining. The first question says, can you give advice on how to effectively manage time as someone who has a lot of responsibilities, physical, academic, entrepreneurial, and spiritual? And I want you to couple that question with a question where the person said that entrepreneurs fail by chasing models without understanding the market. And how can you give advice for such people to properly understand the market? So the first one is about time management with all the issues. Then second one is how to properly understand the market they want to get into. So starting with you.
Okay, so for time, I would say my advice would be you can never truly maximize the time that you have, but I think it's always very important to prioritize. So I go through stages where, and I have to be very honest, I go through stages where my business takes 100%, my family takes 100%, ministry takes 100%. But what I've learned and what I've identified gives me the most time is when I give God 100%. It may sound very weird, but at some point you plug in so much to God that every other thing becomes a side hustle. Your family feels like a side hustle. Business feels like a side hustle. Everything else feels like a side hustle. And if everything else feels like a side hustle, what happens is that you don't actually feel the pressure of time. And then miraculously, you would find that you have more time. I don't know how to explain it, but I was speaking to someone the other day and I said, I feel like God is like a lover. You have people like Mr. Cosmas, right, who have these businesses. Sorry, sir. Yeah, who have these businesses, and it's almost as though the businesses are running themselves. And I've learned that when you plug into God, God is like a jealous toaster, right? So you know how you have, like, for single ladies here or single guys or, people that are married, at that toasting stage, the other person just wants to be with you. So if you say, oh, I have to go and do this, they'll say, look, let me find a way to try and do it for you. Don't just stay here with me. And I feel like that's how God is with us. So when we're intentional about just plugging into him, he figures everything out. You find that you're walking with a supernatural ease. So I can stand here and sit here and say, oh yeah, you can manage your time by doing this and allocating this. But what has worked for me is when I give God all my time. So that's my response to that. And I think the second question was understanding the market you want to go into. ChatGPT. ChatGPT, look for other businesses, speak to people. I for example, and a lot of the time these things are supernatural. So most of the time, a lot of things for me came from divine inspiration. Every business name I've had, it was just being in church during worship. I'll just hear a name, write it down. The vision comes, write it down. This is what you're going to do. And then I start. So for people who don't have that, I would say ChatGPT is your friend. Ask questions. Don't be lazy. Email people. Log on to LinkedIn. Speak to people around you and just find out if there really is a market for it. But the best way to find out if there's a market for what you're doing is to meet somebody maybe in a bank for financing, or in this case, BOI, Bank of Industry. They're very quick at identifying whether or not there's actually a market for what you're trying to do. And if you see that they have interest and you see that there's some sort of enthusiasm to what you're saying, then I'll say you're on the right track, keep going. But if you speak to them and you see there's a bit of hesitancy, just go back and find out if there's something like a value add that you can add to what you're trying to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Every day is 24 hours. But at the end of 24 hours, we achieve different results. The difference, perhaps, is prioritizing and ensuring that your focus area, you devote more time to that area. So if you are a student, as Dr. Maduka said, you want to become a doctor, so you need to be up, or you're going to be an engineer. You must be up mathematics and add additional mathematics. So you can't afford to be playing football or watching football or running around when you are supposed to log yourself in and reading. So the same child who is playing football and yourself who is reading just to catch up, and you have the same 24 hours. But the results at the end of the day, we'll make first class, we'll make 2-1, we'll make 2-2, we'll make third class, we'll make a pass, so we will drop out of school. So what the difference is ability to manage your time better. So I think that is critical. So it revolves around planning, focusing, determination, and getting it done. So once you have that, you'll find out that the same time, but the different outcomes are different results. For markets, a bit of research needs to be done. And it's a function of what you want to do. Because if you look at Nigeria, population 220 million people. So what service do you want to render to 220 million people? Even within the 220 million people, you can dimension the market further to say, are you focused on youths? Are you focused on women? Are you focused on children? Are you focused on adults? So it's a function of the product or service. I will recommend that you focus on services or products that has global needs, i.e., the demand for your product should be benchmarked the percentage of the world population, not focus on a product that only be used by your community or your state, because the market size will be smaller. You should be thinking global because the world is becoming a global space. So anything you want to do, the demand, without want to drive your revenue for your product, whatever service you are thinking of, whatever product you are thinking of, think of that product that can be sold in Nigeria, sold in Ghana, sold in Egypt, sold in the United States, sold in the UK. So they have a global market space. So it's critical in designing the product. And that is why she said you can visit us, we can help you, but a bit of research work needs to be done. Find out, is it a new product? Is it an existing product? What are the customers currently? What are the challenges from the market space? What are you trying to address? Is it something new, brand new, or you're refining an existing product? Most markets are already there. If it's a new industry, emerging industry, and the demand for services will be bought or purchased by human beings. So the global market size is the world population. So whatever you are, dimension the market in terms of those who will need your service. So if you're in education, for instance, you want to set up a university or a secondary school, you need to find out what are the existing secondary schools in this locality. What are they doing good or doing properly? What are they not doing well? What are they doing in Ibadan? What are they doing in Benin? What value, what additional value, what extra value are you bringing to the market space? In determining you want to enter the market that already exists. There is something new you are bringing on board to the system to attract demand and to attract patronage to generate revenue. Because a clear understanding of the market can make or mar your business decision. Ultimately, it's from the market, from the purchase of service or goods and services that revenue will come. From the revenue, you can pay for your financing. From the revenue, you can pay your operational costs. From revenue, you can pay to all the shareholders who have invested in your business. Thank you.
And Funke, would like to hear your thoughts as well.
I couldn't really hear the question properly. I can hear people talking about markets, and I couldn't hear the first question properly. But I think from what I can deduce, I think maybe the question about markets is
Sure.
how do you identify?
Sure. So there were two questions. There were two questions from the audience. One was as it relates to balancing time when one compares the several issues they have to deal with, academic, spiritual, entrepreneurship, etc. Whereas the second question was from another person in the audience asking that, how do they get into a market where they don't have maybe a proper understanding and they're trying to get in as experts? So that's a summary of the two questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the one of balancing time and balancing all the various aspects of one's life, I think the key thing there is to determine what is important to you. And what is important to you changes at different times of your life. The first part that is very important is the spiritual aspect that you cannot, of course, remove. And that is important to you for the rest of your life. But every other aspect of it, how do you now balance it? When you are younger, sometimes it can be easier. And as you grow older, sometimes it's actually harder because there are more responsibilities. When I was in university, all I cared about then was fellowship. I was a Sovereign Army fellowship. I just wanted to serve God and I wanted to read and I was studying law. But after a while, I had to learn how to even balance that. I was always in fellowship, but I wasn't really reading. After a while, I realized that, you know what, I needed to pass and come out of this university with a degree. And then I learned how to prioritize and balance it, you know. And with that, I came out, passed, got into, started working and everything. And with every aspect of your life, there'll be different challenges. There'll be different areas that you have to learn how to balance. So there'll be times that when you do get married, it's about your family, your children. How do you even balance that with business? How do you balance that with if you need to go back to school? So you have to always weigh the scale. What is important to you at this time? Everything cannot be on the same level, or you must sacrifice. You must actually, have delayed gratification for some things, and you must ensure that in every aspect, nothing is falling through the cracks. Secondly, regarding the market, how do you find new markets? Now, I am still, as I said, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm still exploring new markets that I don't even know about, and I'm still learning. Learning technology. Technology is something that I'm using it's important to understand research, as people have said, and then ask questions. Maduka mentioned, an apprenticeship model. Find a place to serve, to learn, to get information, get knowledge about what you want to do. Never be too ashamed or afraid to learn. Mean that you are wrong. It may be that the timing was not correct. It may be that you didn't have all the right resources. It may be that you didn't have all the right information. All you just need to do is maybe go back, re-strategize, rework, and then enter again, and then look for new ways of doing things. The young guy that spoke today regarding an app for the event industry, I was just smiling. I was like, I need to speak to him because maybe we need to go into partnership. What do you think? Because I am also working on something, and I'm thinking, why should I work on something by myself and you are working on it? Maybe I should be the one to invest in your business. So we need to talk after that when you're talking with the guy that's talking about the app. And that is also how to explore new markets. So the market is waiting for all of us.
Awesome. To the young man, I hope you'll give the Kingdom Summit a brokerage fee. Okay, fantastic. A few more questions from the audience, and thank you for all these very great questions you're putting out here. This question is to Funsho. So someone has asked you specifically. They said to Miss Funsho, if the marketplace you are in is not your desired one, but that of your parents' desire, which is not working out for you, what should you do?
Okay, so I think I'll go back to desire. Desires evolve over time, and if you have a desire, for example, you say, okay, I have a desire to sell chin-chin, right? I have a desire to sell chin-chin, or I have a desire to build apps for small businesses. You also have to sometimes weigh that desire against what is realistic at the time. So my parents always wanted me to study law, be a lawyer, rise up in the corporate world, and I did that. Now, was it what I wanted to do at the time? Not really. But then did I do it? Yes. But the things that I learned from that are also things that I've managed to bring into my business. And so what I would say to that person is, as long as what your parents are asking you to do at this time isn't so remote from what you are trying to do, or you don't even see the benefits of this thing to what it is you're trying to do, I would say yes, maybe go back to God, because I can't advise anybody to disobey their parents, but I would say maybe go back to God and ask him for a leading. But if what your parents are asking you to do isn't detrimental, so I'll give you an example. I came to Nigeria on holiday, and my dad just said, right, we're going to law school on Monday, we're going to register you in Buhari. And I'm like, no, I finished my education. Like, I'm done. This is it. There's nothing else we're going to do. But I had to follow him. Am I grateful for that today? Yes. Because I made friends. I learned things that have helped my business today. I made connections. It was an experience for me. It taught me how to live in Nigeria. I never lived in Nigeria before I came to law school. So I would say to that person, stick with it and charter the course, because sometimes, like Joseph in the prison, he probably didn't understand why he was in prison, but didn't realize that the prison experience was to actually take him to the promised land. And so, yeah, and I remember there's a Jewish rabbi that I follow, and he said Jewish parents actually teach their children to love what they're doing. You know, do what will be beneficial to society and fall in love with it. And so, yeah, I don't know if that resounds with you, but yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Now, there's a question here for Dr. Cosmas from the audience. So the person says, sir, how were you able to balance your wealth status and also being a believer?
I thought I answered that question in my opening statement. Every other thing come very, very secondary to me. My life is about my Christian belief. I understood that everything I'm looking for is found in the kingdom. Yes, we've grown up and business has expanded, but I'm sure you will not believe. I've never missed a prayer meeting, Sunday service, any church activity for business appointment. Very hard statement and difficult. By the grace of God, we are properly structured today, and I can tell you in the last 30 years, I've never signed a check in Coscharis. So it has not always been like that, because there was a time I was the A to Z of the company. I am the managing and damaging director. I am the everything about the company. You know, and that's part of the reason why I said, you know, it's a hard statement to make, that I encourage young people. The first thing that will happen is that your belief to succeed must be greater than your fear to fail. Because many people never step out because of what happened if I fail. Don't test God like a deep water. Let me put one leg. If you get too deep, I remove the leg. Jump inside. If I perish, I perish. There are faith that moves God. There are faiths that makes things happen. Bible says a double-minded man will never receive anything from God. If you really, I would rather stand with somebody who is reckless with his faith than somebody who is too careful with his faith. Through everything you have in it, you never lose with God. Nobody had really given everything he had for God that go disappointed. If you are determined to succeed, many young people play the thing opposite way. I was talking, young man tell me, we have been over-mentored, we have been underfunded. I said, shut up. Where is the fund going to come from? Your first skill to show that you're an entrepreneur is that you're a creator of capital. That's your first skill. Take a job. Do anything legitimate you can to earn money. Let me leave you with this story. There was a wealthy man that his son wanted to inherit his asset. The man said, it's not a problem. Go and work. If you earn $20,000, bring it for me. You have everything I have. He went and told his mother. After 2 weeks, the mother counted $20,000 and gave the boy to go give his father. The man was closing his leg, reading newspaper. There was a fire thing behind it. And the boy said, this is it, Daddy, 20,000. The man threw it inside the fire, continued to read his paper. The boy didn't move. The father said, I've told you, go and walk. If you make 20,000, bring it for me. You will inherit what I have. The mother said, maybe you suspect I gave it to you. Wait, after 6 months, let's hope he will believe you are. After 6 months, he gave the boy 20,000 and brought it to the father again. The father did exactly the same thing and threw it into the fire. The boy didn't move. He went back. The mother said, let's wait for 1.5 years. The boy said, Mom, it's enough. I'll go and work for the money. And went out and sweat and did everything he can and earned $20,000. And when he came to his father, he said, Dad, I made this money now. The father closed the leg exactly and threw the money inside. But the boy jumped inside. You cannot waste my asset. You cannot waste my asset. The father said, you made this money. This one is your real own. Now you can own my asset. Anything you never work for, you will never value. You will never value. So, work is spiritual. The first thing God gave a man was work. God never gave a man a wife without giving him a job. And that's why I advise young ladies that are not married. Don't ask the young man that tell you want to marry you, do you love me? It's a wrong question. Ask him, where are you taking me? Where? What does that mean? Share your vision with me. Tell me the plans you have for your life. That was what I did to my wife. She held my 2 hands. After I told her by 18 I will be here by 20, he said we'll do it together. That's why the name you see today, Coscharis, is not Cosmas. It's Cosmas and Charity. That's how we form Coscharis. So I don't want to call it Coscharis so that people thought it's local. So when we registered the company in Coscharis, people thought it was a Greek company. Because it didn't sound Nigerian. Coscharis. And today we have gone places with it. The thing I will tell every young man is be determined. When you are determined and work hard, like she's told you, you got these people that, outside people that are so clothed, or anybody that's so clothed, come in. And start from that. When you see somebody with that level of passion, and it comes to you to say, I started this with 50,000. I am here. I have made 80,000. I'm looking for somebody to avail me 100,000. I will take it to 500,000. You will find that gap in money you are looking, finance you are looking for. What is wrong is you haven't done anything. You came out of university. There's no experience you have. You draw business plan that have 10 billion and bring it to me to make presentation, close your leg and say, bring money. What is your experience that I'm going to give you money? Even if you're a medical doctor and you just come out of hospital, I won't allow you to examine me. I need to find the experience you have, first of all. So you need to start small. Have clear ambition where you are going. And show somebody you have taken something from ground zero to a level of substance. There's a young man that finished in Nsukka. It was in Nsukka, started engineering. Like this other young man we're talking now at his final year. He started something he shared with me. I put 600 million naira into his company. And he will go places. We are not as vast as not in taking financial risk on people. But we want to see the passion you express over what you are doing and how you've been able to take it for ground zero. You must show somebody that this is something you believe in and the result you are getting from it, that what you just need somebody to give you a push, you will find that funding. If you want to know the truth, capital play only 40% equation on business success. Knowledge of what you are doing play over 60%. So take time to study what are you going into. Get people who knew that business to learn under them, even under pro bono. The reason why the boys that did apprenticeship are successful is that in apprenticeship, Everything you need to run business is taught in informal way. You say research. We do research, not in a formal way that you do it in university. I'm able to tell you while I was working for my uncle what is in Volkswagen that can fit in Peugeot. It's a research. What is in Peugeot that can fit in Toyota? It's a research. We are taught administration when we are doing apprenticeship. We are taught purchase. We are taught inventory management. So when you start a business, you are completely fit. Because I didn't know the computer and all of these big things. I bought 6 exercise book. This is purchase book. This is expenses book. This is profit book. This is stock book. So I track from day one, how much do I make on a daily basis? How much do I make in a weekly basis? You can't be saying business is going, you are dipping hand inside the pocket and spending money. You cannot, but the only thing that made me show that I'm true entrepreneur, how do you people pronounce it? Entrepreneur. Yeah, because that's not what is important. Is that I took this thing up to a level, because what makes you a real mason is not laying wall, it's how to turn corner. I knew, yes, I have started. What I brought to the table is my dogged determination, my core knowledge in automotive component, everything about internal combustion engine. But if I need to take this business to another level, I need to get people who had gone to school, who learn how to do things in a structured manner. And I started hiring people to come and help me structure the business. I'm not a total novice, so I can engage them in constructive argument, and they explain to me what it is. Because these people come from university and want you to give them authority to do the things the way they were taught. But I had to go through it, raise objection, let them invalidate it. And that is how we started taking Coscharis in a structured manner, where bank will take us serious, where other business owners will take us serious. Because if you continue with those things, you will have enough money to buy BMW, live in Ajegule, and own a house in the village. But you cannot run an institution. We have created Nigerian model of multinational. The Coscharis today loan money from banks in Nigeria under negative pledge. You know what negative pledge is? You go to bank, they tell you bring collateral, bring your grandfather, bring your grandmother. We collateralize nothing. It wasn't an accident. It was a dream, a plan I have for life, that I'm going to run business to a point where I will break that. BMW, Ford Motor Company, 200 years old company, all of them consign me product on an open account. We call it supplier's credit, which is the best credit you will get. Where people give you something, no interest, Saturday, Sunday morning, but people could trust you. But you don't pick it on the street, you earn it. You earn it means that you are consistent in your obligation. You keep obligation. I learned obligation from Japanese, not so much of church, because I've seen people in church. The Japanese, if they made a promise to you, they cannot keep it. They take their life. Nigeria will tell you, I can't kill myself. I can't kill myself. I can't kill myself. That has no meaning. I introduced a Nigerian to a Japanese. He said, I said, please kill yourself because you promised. Please kill yourself because you promised. Because Japan, that language is not spoken. The only thing we had that man has hanged himself. And he wrote a note and said, I'm sorry I disappointed you. You trusted me and I couldn't keep faith. Before the fundamentalists start taking their life, Japanese have been killing themselves. And it is purely, that's why they don't read Bible, they don't read Quran. Their Bible is letter of credit. All they know is I'm sorry.
I'm sure I speak for all of us if I say we can just go on and on and on. But we're coming to the end of it and we're out of time. So I'm going to ask one question of Mr. Osa. Then I'm going to give each of the speakers an opportunity to give us their last words. So there's someone who has asked the question, and the person asked the question again. So almost drawing our attention to it. And I think it's a great question because we've been speaking about entrepreneurship in terms of profit-making businesses. But also entrepreneurship also goes to non-profit making organizations, NGOs, and the like. So someone asked the question that what advice would you give to an individual who is launching an NGO with the intention of mentoring and training God-fearing men to take over the marketplace?
The same principle, because you have a vision, you have an objective. The difference is that in the first instance, you are talking about making profit. The second one, you are looking at impact. So, which may not be in naira and kobo, but you want to reform society. You want to address a social concern. You want to address a problem, which might be more impactful to the world than even naira and kobo. So I think the same principle follows, but the difference is in the focus area, in terms of impact or what they are focusing on naira and kobo as profit. Thank you.
I agree with 100%. So on that note, this time around, we'll start with Funke for just your closing remarks, last words. And while you're giving these closing remarks, there's a question that I want all of you to infuse into your answer. Someone had asked that if you can recommend any books that you have read that really helped you in this journey of entrepreneurship. So if any comes to mind that you can tell them, because people are hungry. They want to also deepen themselves and add value to themselves as well. So Funke, if we can start with you, please.
So you said one last word, and then I didn't get the last message. Did you say a book? Did you say a book?
Yes, one last word, as well as a recommendation for a book that the people can read to develop themselves.
Okay, so one of my favorite books, and I read it when I was very young, and I still have read it recently, is Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And which also brings me to the story of what we shared today, which is about faith and resilience. Basically, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, in whatever you're doing in life, you need the power, you need to be resilient, you need to be able to come out of any situation, and learn from it. And just really, I would say, really have a thick skin. Because challenges will come in life and in business. Challenges will come. How you navigate it, how you come out of it, how you learn from it, what you even learn from it. Everybody. In fact, I'm actually honored to be on this panel, and I've learned a lot. But the key thing is just really don't give up. When you do want to give up, just think about how you can, navigate out of that, whether you need to make a 360 turn, 180 turn, a total U-turn, or even just change direction. But one thing you will not stop doing is to keep on advancing, in that work that you are supposed to be doing. So I would just say, and then of course, understanding the real purpose, why you are doing what you're doing. Why are you doing it? Because in everything that we do, and even in what I do, at the moment, I've been doing this for such a long time, and my industry is very saturated, but we're still, number one. And how are we doing it? Because we are reinventing. So always reinvent yourself, always re-strategize, innovate, just keep on, even empowering your team. Very, very important. So don't go alone. Grow big, collaborate. Don't think about competition alone. We all need to succeed. Yes, we all want to succeed, but don't do it killing each other, killing the next person. No, drag the next person with you as you grow up the ladder, and many, many more that I would love to share, but I know that because of time. So yeah, so that's a little bit of my contribution. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I will advise that, please, let us read the Business Model Canvas, BMC. You can never get it wrong. Whether into service, into products, any business you want to get into, if you have a very clear understanding of the Business Model Canvas, you can never get it wrong. So our advice that we should read that book. I also advise that we should please get either the 7 habits of highly successful people or the 8 habits of highly successful people. That book, there are a lot of stories there, there are a lot of lessons there that you cannot get wrong. One of them, in fact, several of them, Dr. Maduka actually spoke about them. Starting with the end in mind, sharpening the sword, slowing down for a second to go back to school, to relearn and relearn. They're all in that book. So I think if you have those two books and you read them, I wish all successful career joining ahead. Thank you. My last word is that the future is for the youths. And that is why no serious organization today, including my office, my bank, you cannot think of anything without considering the youths and the women. And so a whole lot of institutions are looking for young people who can take on opportunities in their career path. But what are we looking for? We're looking for young men and women that have character, that have passion for what they want to do, that are sincere, and they are contented. And if you have these qualities, they're also godly qualities. And I'm sure if you have this, you go the long run. Thank you.
Okay, so my closing remarks / advice, I would say the Bible says David encouraged himself in the Lord. The journey of an entrepreneur is a journey where you encourage yourself constantly. The things you need to hold on to that would help you, collaboration. Never think you can go anywhere quickly alone. And you'd find that your best resources sometimes come from the most unlikely places. My best friend is a pastor, but she's also my biggest business advisor. So sometimes your mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's doing what you're doing. It can actually just be someone with enough insight and intelligence to basically help you chart the way forward. The next thing I would say is prioritize your health. It's very easy as an entrepreneur to get so busy, so engrossed, so stressed out that you find that sometimes your memory is disintegrating, your health is, just all these challenges. Prioritize your health, prioritize collaboration, prioritize technology. You'll be so surprised what software can do to make your life easy. And I think the last thing I would say is prioritize your relationship with God. It would definitely keep you a long way. Another strategy that I have to add that works, always write your CV. As an entrepreneur, sometimes you get so engrossed into your business that you can lose your identity and forget who you are. Practical steps such as writing your CV, your achievements and what you've been able to do also helps you. And think globally. Don't think of this demographic. Whenever you picture yourself, picture your business, picture yourself on a global scale and scale towards that. In terms of books, I would say Letters from Jeff, which is written by the CEO of Amazon. It's always like my go-to book, and The Psychology of Money. Thank you.
My final remark is very simple. Create an intimacy of relationship with God. That's number one. The first book I would recommend you to read is Bible. No, on a serious note, by the age of 15, I read back-to-back cover. Do I understand everything there? No. But even if you never read any second book in your life, all the secret with which I run Coscharis today, I learned them from the Bible. Jesus was a businessman. If you don't know that, he started a company 2,000 years ago. He left because the greatest art of leadership is not even what happened while you are alive. It's what happened after you are gone. 2,000 years the man left. Global 500 companies are studying his secret of servant leadership, secret that made his company continue to win more clients. People are subscribing to his company, and I am one of his clients. So it's not even what happened while you are here. After you are gone, what happened to your business? Because this thing has timeline. At 66 today, I told myself, people ask me, what's your passion? Why are you doing this thing? I said, Where I am today is the last phase of my life. Give me 40 more years, I am 80 years. So I'm trying to fertilize your life, to be a fertilizer to you. And I want to tell you, young people, you make yourself when you are young. Anything you want to do, don't keep on saying you are still young and you are 30 years, your mother is giving you pocket money. You should feel very much ashamed. It's not a place to be proud. Successful people, 86% of successful people became between the age of 15 and 28. By 30, you are in a borderline. When you are 40, you'll find out the things you think that were important are not important anymore. If you want to somersault, you need to somersault between 15 years and 20. By 25, don't try to somersault because you get a spinal cord injury. The second book I would recommend you to read is New York bestseller, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Don't work for money, work to learn. Because many people think money is everything, put money in front. Money is a reward of work. So when you solve problem, money rewards you. When we are young, we climb barbed wire, jump electric to go to the mango tree. We are not going there for the leaves. We are going there for the fruit. What are you delivering? What are you willing to offer people? That's what makes your life different from other people. God bless you.
Wow. Can we have another round of applause for this awesome panel? I didn't hear any applause. I think I asked for some applause.